We're live, Trina, and to everyone who's watching, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in this wonderful world of ours. And it is a wonderful world, isn't it? You've been busy this last week, and you've returned to New Jersey, Trina. Incidentally, I'm Scott. This is Trina Paulus. This is her weekly show, and you've got a number of things to talk about. I'm looking forward to figuring out or seeing how you figure out which ones to include, and by extension, we'll never know what you're excluding. You lead such an interesting life, Trina.
Well, it's a privilege to be alive. And we're made for this time, I hear people say, which is quite challenging in every place you look. From the political world, maybe I'll have the courage to say something about that. But I think I want to talk about geoengineering and my mouse problem at my home. And I came last week from Florida, and this beautiful, beautiful place I had the privilege to be. 150 species of palms and everything at this 20-acre beautiful place in Naples, Florida, called Paradise Gardens, by the way. And I came up in the same day it was snowing and freezing here in New Jersey. And it's really cold here still right now. Cold today, cold for a good walk, and very, very windy. So that's the climate that we are having here. And I just finished for the first time in my life happening on to it was just like a half an hour ago, I happened on to a live press conference with President Trump, where he talked about a lot of things, including the war in Ukraine and stopping it and stopping the killings. That was his main focus for that, and Gaza. And it was the main thing was about all this stuff, and then of corruption every place. Now, I will say a word or two about that. I find that it's with such a big broom that the cleaning up is being done, and there are a lot of innocent people being hurt by this big cleaning up. And I just wish, and maybe it's my job to send out a book, Hope for the Flowers, to the president and to Elon Musk and maybe some other people, about that in the long run of our life, at the end of our life, we shall be judged by love. That's the important thing. And then how to make that work along with this cleaning up of corruption, I don't know. It's more than I can handle in my head. So I will try to stick to the things I know better, which is still taking care of Hope for the Flowers and working with my art. I'm really thrilled to know that my big Abraham and Isaac statue is supposed to be on exhibit at St. John the Divine Cathedral for Women's History Month. That's just around the corner here in March. And we'll see how that works out, and you'll hear more about that if it does. So I'm back trying to catch up with things, and I want to tell you about my mouse problem. Okay. If any of you have ever had mice problems where they keep going into every little box and nick and corner they're on my first floor. So today I sprayed peppermint oil, which they don't like, up my stairs and into my second floor to keep them from going up there. And I was sent these little battery things, high power frequency, that's supposed to keep the mice away from somebody who it worked for. Now, I don't know if all of them will work properly, but I just put in 4 of them. So we'll see how I do. I've tried, most of what I've done is tried the regular traps that spring and close, and I've caught a few mice with that way. But they haven't liked my bait. I think I feed them too well. They're into my seeds and grains and things like that. And when people assume that they like cheese and peanut butter. Well, they have rejected my peanut butter. And I finally got some cheese yesterday, and they seem not to have been lured by that cheese. Maybe it's the wrong kind of cheese, but when I looked up bait and mice, they say that mice typically like the things that they're used to. So if they've been eating grains and seeds, okay, which they have in my house, organic. They've been having what they're well-fed mice. They're probably pretty clean and well-fed, but I can't keep taking care of them. I tried to talk to them once upon a time in my life, like St. Martin de Porres did, and he promised he would feed them all, but they would to stay out of their pantry for the monks that he was a doorkeeper of. And they did just that. So I tried that trick once. It didn't work for me. I guess my faith isn't strong enough to talk to mice like that. But anyhow, that's what I'm doing. So I'm trying that electronic high frequency sound today, and I'm waiting for another set of bucket tops for mouse traps to come, so that maybe that can work. So I'm into the mouse trap business right now and how to deal with it. And yes, it's so cold here. I'm sure they don't want to go out in the cold. But I'm not giving them this high frequency thing might do it to them. They might not be able to find another way. So finished with that. And then this geoengineering that we're not having anything to share that visual about that. I went on that site again today and listened to some of Dane Whittington's material. This is a very untalked about area of life that for many years there have been efforts to change our climate by putting things in air that have been dispersed by planes and dropped down upon us, including bad stuff for our soil and our lives, like aluminum. And it's been happening. I first heard about this about 30 years ago with some of my time at the United Nations for the Commission on Sustainable Development weeks that I would go to. And it sounded really extreme then, but it's gotten more extreme now. And Dane Whittington is the chief troubadour of this. And he writes in the program I was looking at today about this is the existential reality. And it's a dimension of global climate change, but it's what people are trying to do about it, which could possibly explain a lot of the extreme weather things that we've been experiencing, like in California, the fires, and then you have fires and floods, close contact with each other. It's really very strange. And of course, there are the other dimensions of global warming, but this is an important piece of it, the efforts of us using technology to try to change it, which is a very dubious thing. And it would be worth you looking at geoengineeringwatch.org, geoengineeringwatch.org, to get some of that. Now, my time in Florida was extraordinarily rich. It was rich for me as a person because I was able to see that sometimes I go off the deep end, the other side of my saving methods. I'm a girl who grew up in the Depression. I come from people who come off the farm. These are both things that cause you to become extremely saving. So I'm extremely saving. I can hardly bear to waste a piece of paper or a plastic bag, my goodness. And so I tend to save all that stuff. And then when I went to Egypt, and I remember looking out the YWCA building from about 6 floors up, seeing all the kids and the families in the trash heap that was there in Cairo, looking through anything that they might save and use and maybe sell. And I thought, I was much more fit for Egypt in a sense with my saving habits than I am for the United States right now, because I want to save every jar, every piece of paper, every old record, everything. So that's not good in this culture, in this time. And even though it's a good habit to have, I go off the deep end. So I became aware of it down there, where people I respected were were much less saving of things like peeling fruit, where I would have carefully worked at it and worked at it and worked at it. They were much. We were feeding 18 people, but so it was seeing a different kind of balance in life. So I need that more. So I need to do that. Maybe I'm saying this to somebody else who needs a little more balance in their life, but I certainly true of me. So it's a learning time for me. And you can see it's a motley thing between mice, geoengineering, President Trump, and the wild stuff that's going on to clean up things, and hoping that they can have it nicely interspersed and incorporated with love and compassion. That's my hope for the world all around, that we do have peace and the killings stop and justice takes place so that we can have peace. Justice environmentally, justice between races and peoples, justice between those who have more and those who have less. So that's my hope and my prayer for today. Thank you very much, everybody.